Hey, future applauders. Do you like talking about movies? Like smart movies? Dumb movies? Science fiction movies? Horror movies? Fantasy movies?
Do you like listening to people talk about a movie longer than it would take you to actually watch the movie?
Do you sit with your friends and rant at great length about things you're passionate about?
You may be interested in Shocked and Applaud.
Join us while we go through peculiar movies, traditional movies, movies that we just like, movies that we find are sort of like, huh?
Do we follow somebody on social media and then they posted about a movie and we're just going to watch it now?
Sure, why not? Our podcast is completely unscripted, so you're going to stumble through things with us because we stumble a lot.
We're going to laugh. We're going to talk about what's problematic, but really it comes down to talking about movies.
You can visit us at shockedandapplaud.com, on Twitter at shockedapplaud, and Facebook at Shocked and Applaud.
We hope to see you there.
I'm Bo Maddox.
I'm Robert Ortegon.
And I'm Ashley Chancellor.
And this is Collateral Cinema. Welcome to a special anniversary episode of Collateral Cinema, the only movie podcast that matters, where we focus on good movies, bad movies, and everything else in between in the world of cinema. We are podcasting straight from somewhere in South Texas, and yes, my friends, we are a 420-friendly podcast. So whatever you have, smoke it if you've got it. And yeah, this is a celebration episode, so definitely smoke whatever you have with us. And also maybe drink a beer or two with us. So, yeah, it's our anniversary episode. We've been doing this for 6 goddamn years, man. 6 seasons.
Dang.
Wow, guys. Like, what do y'all think?
Damn, has it been that long? I don't know.
It really has.
Really? Don't even know.
Yeah, who knows, man? I mean,
So,
it's difficult to believe, right?
We're in season 6, and we've done basically 5 years continuously of Collateral Cinema, which I've been a part of midway through the first season. And yeah, I mean, just kind of seeing us grow, seeing us develop into what we are today. I mean, did we hit 12,000 or?
We're over 12,100 downloads at this point, I believe.
Nice. Yeah. So, man, it has been a pleasure to be a part of this. It's been really just kind of one of the big passions in my life, honestly.
It really has, man. I mean, it's crazy to think going all the way back to 2017. That was when I initially recorded the first pilot episode. I recorded it, of course, with Joseph Cantu. He's not on the podcast right now, obviously, but, you know, he did help launch this show. And let me tell you, I mean, that original episode, goddamn, it
Foo
was
Fighters.
Our first episode was Foo Fighters, but our pilot episode, that is the movie that we are talking about today, which is Takashi Miike's Audition, and that's right, we are still sticking with the Miike-versary theme, right?
Right, and in fact, this season, because it's kind of like the 5-year mark for us, since we've kind of been doing this continuously, we decided to do a 2-part Miike-versary. So this is part 1 of that. We're going over the Redux of Audition, the original pilot episode, and part 2 is going to be the Takashi Miike Ace Attorney movie, because I really want to watch that. I love the Ace Attorney video game series, so to hear that Takashi Miike, the legendary Chad himself, directed a film adaptation of that franchise, amazing, has to be seen. But yeah, I mean, I think that Takashi Miike is just, he is a Chad. There's no other way to describe it.
Honestly,
the dude has made how many films?
He's made at this moment like over 100, well over 100 by this point. And I mean, I agree with you there. I mean, especially if you've ever really watched any of his interviews. I mean, just the way that he really explains his style and explains what he goes for in his movies. I mean, it's really interesting, like how he approaches violence, how he approaches, character development and how the characters interact with each other. And I mean, it's really interesting and fascinating to watch how, his career really moves forward from this movie, because this was very much a breakout.
This is 1999.
Yeah, this was a very important, pivotal year for him. I believe like he had yet to. I don't remember if he did Ichi before or after this. Yeah, Ash is looking that up right now. But I mean, this was really the movie that kind of defined, and it defined and it cemented Miike's reputation here in the States in so many ways.
Yeah, and by the way, Ichi was 2001 actually, so a couple years after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's of course, the movie that a lot of people remember the most. And we did an episode on that. We did a Miike-versary on that one.
I mean, to be honest, Audition and Ichi the Killer seem to be the most often mentioned ones.
Probably next after that is Visitor Q.
Visitor Q was the movie that broke Dakota.
The movie that broke Dakota. We will always bring that up to this day.
That's why we don't see him anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately.
No.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn it. We lost the McCulkin.
We lost him.
The
McCulkin. Oh, my God. Yes, that's right. I wish we could have gotten Dakota in here for this. This would have been hilarious.
I don't know. Maybe
I don't know. He's squicked out by Miike's work now.
Okay, so Miike-san is a visionary, or I should say Miike-sensei.
Miike-sensei.
Miike-sensei is a visionary, man. He's just based in every aspect of his filmmaking career. He's done the most disturbing horror shit you've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
He's also just done goofy shit. He's also just done, what fucking As the Gods Will, adaptations of video games, children's movies, right?
Yeah, he's done a couple of children's movies like The Great Yokai War and whatnot. So, yeah, and
Talk
also
about range.
Yeah, it's real range. He of course he even did a video game movie, like Phoenix Wright, the aforementioned Phoenix Wright movie.
Oh, what, Dead or Alive also, right?
Dead or Alive is amazing.
Yeah.
That's actually a trilogy of movies, and it is fucking awesome.
Nice.
Now, Robert.
Yes.
I mean, I should ask this of both of you. It's like, or say this to both of you, like, y'all weren't on the podcast when we did this. This was just Joseph and I. Like, So, Robert, what did you really think about when you were watching this movie?
Actually, didn't know what to think in the beginning.
Yeah, it kind of was a little.
I thought it was just like some creepo looking for a wife.
It kind of feels that way, right? Yeah, we'll get into like the more creepler elements of this. It's very some problematic stuff there.
And well, like you come into this movie knowing what it is. I think all of us did, right? I mean, we knew that it was gonna be torture porn later, so it's just kind of like the build up to that. And 2/3 of the movie at least are just build up.
Yeah.
It really is. I mean, it actually feels more like a standard, like, just romantic drama, maybe with some comedic elements to it. Like, I guess the montage is a little silly, the audition montage.
But then there's like the commentary on the male gaze, and it's like,
and the way that it's inverted, because there's so many scenes here where whenever Aoyama and Asami are in the same room, it's like they're rarely ever actually speaking to each other. There's always this distance between them, even when they're close together. It's always like really inferred, but especially like whenever you see her in her initial audition, and like you only get a little glimpse of her, and then she sits down, and then there's that's one scene where the camera just kind of is behind her, and then it starts just kind of going beyond her, and then it just starts panning in on Aoyama, and he's just smitten. you know?
I like all the spontaneous jump cuts. I don't know if those are intended or not, actually.
A lot of them are intentional.
Actually, yeah, because later on that comes in and we get those parts of the conversation that were omitted, right?
Yeah.
So those jump cuts, oh my God, it's finally clicking for me. That's crazy. You see what I'm talking about, Robert?
Still a little weird. I don't know.
Oh, it's definitely a weird movie. Yeah.
It's genius, though.
Those cuts were weird, yeah.
No, I think I actually enjoyed this more than anything else I've seen from Miike up to this point, to be honest with you.
I would say that when it comes to his disturbing aspects of cinema, this right here is probably his more accessible work right here. This is way more accessible, and a lot of it is because of that first half to 2/3 of the movie. You know, where it's just this very slow drama about this lonely old, widower, and he's trying to find himself a wife, and he meets this very broken lady and is just smitten by her. And it seems like it's just going to kind of be tragic like that, but not in the way that it turns out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What I think is interesting too is that it's obviously fucked up what she does, but this all just sort of feels like it's an extension of the fact that it's like the position that they're in the first place, because Aoyama just has this it's this really kind of skeevy plan here. He's his son, who he actually has a wholesome relationship with. We'll talk about that later, but he recommends that Aoyama actually finally get remarried. It's been years since the wife died, whatever. And so he kind of he talks to his buddy who sets up a film audition, an audition, and they interview several girls, but he's just smitten by Asami.
And I mean, he's initially smitten by her words. That's the most interesting part of it. He reads her little the little paragraph that she writes about her background and everything, and I mean, it is a compelling background. I won't lie. I can kind of see why he went for her. There's just this kind of innocence to her, sort of, but there's also still that obvious damage to her.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting, right? And so you kind of, and as the movie moves on, you start to wonder about what's real and, what is a dream or a hallucination or something else.
Yeah, lucid dream or something.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that you brought up, Robert, a lot, was lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
You really think that Aoyama is kind of in control of what he is seeing, and that's maybe his way of processing what he did?
I don't know. I keep thinking Inception and Vanilla Sky,
Definitely. It's definitely analogous to those movies.
Some sort of dream within a dream or something, right?
Yeah, that's something we'll get into here in a little bit. I mean, I really have some thoughts on that. Initially, I think the most important part of this movie are the date scenes in the various restaurants. It's really, really some very interesting visual storytelling going on there, for instance, that very first date that they go to a very kind of very high-end, very hoity-toity kind of fine dining experience. That's an experience that's very light, very colorful. It's very lively. I mean, it's meant to kind of, represent, the budding of a relationship there. But initially, that's where you start to see that there are holes in their interactions with each other. You start to notice a lot of those jump cuts. And you start to notice that there's intentionally things that are being left out here, and that's especially true in that first restaurant scene, and it's interesting that the first thing that we see Aoyama from Asami's point of view at first. and he's kind of in the background. It's like there's like these shutters or something, you know. I mean, I'm not really sure what that would symbolize, but I thought that
Yeah, I noticed that.
just aesthetically speaking, that's very striking, and it also maybe it's kind of foreboding, you know, like maybe there's just something that's kind of going to slowly enclose upon him a little bit, you know, kind of like how like certain shutters are wont to do. You know?
Right.
Something's just closing in on him, maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting imagery going on here. Just the way that the shots are done, the lighting, the colors. I mean, just all throughout. And Miike is kind of a master of that craft, you know, throughout his films, I've noticed.
Exactly. And then there's the second restaurant scene. The second restaurant scene, it's not so much a restaurant, it's more like a little casual bar or something like that. I would say maybe like it's a little tapas restaurant or something. And that's where you really start to get a feel that there's something very off about the dynamics between Asami and Aoyama, because it's very obvious that Aoyama is being very selective in how he conceptualizes Asami as a person.
Yes.
You know, like he's really building up a very idealized version of her that, I mean, it kind of comes back to it over and over again.
You know what's funny is I can almost kind of relate to that, the whole like building an idealized version of somebody because you're just desperate for that thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all kind of been there, sort of.
Yeah.
There's something kind of relatable there.
Well, and it's weird because Aoyama in that one particular aspect is like, yeesh, that's pretty skeevy. But then there's just fucking, you know, his relationship with his son, which is honestly kind of wholesome. They actually speak, if you pay attention to the Japanese, they actually speak informally with each other, which indicates that they're close to each other. Whereas, you know, you might hear a son call his father Tosan. He calls his father Oyaji, which is just, you know, hey, old man, basically.
I really like the dynamic between Aoyama and his son, and I like the way that the scenes with him, it's almost always framed around eating at the dinner table. It's always about dinner, you know.
Yeah.
And then there's the whole thing where his son is into dinosaurs and whatnot, and which plays into him having his own little date come over.
That's true. You know, it's funny. It's like when there's a moment of the film where Aoyama just tells his son, Shigehiko, you know, he just kind of he knows that, like, hey, you've got a girl over. He gives him that little,
yeah.
The I don't know what you call.
That's the okay symbol, which
the okay symbol, right?
has unfortunate implications nowadays.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, so he gives it like the okay symbol, you know, and it's like, okay, yeah, like father respecting the shit. He's like, yeah, I'll get out of the house. Like,
it's like, yeah, I'll give you some time and everything.
Hell yeah.
But it's interesting how his son's little girlfriend plays into his kind of meltdown near the end of the movie.
Yeah.
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 But yeah, I mean, that whole scene in the diner, I mean, you see it's starting to become a little more casual. That's where you start to see where they're starting to become more familiar with each other.
Right.
In a way. And also, I mean, there's also that one scene there, that one moment where everybody just completely vanishes, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just Asami and Aoyama just talking to each other.
That's the lucid dream part, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
you think so? That's Aoyama just kind of taking control and just being like, yeah, it's just me and her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That could make sense.
Like that whole world is just some sort of makeshift dream, or I don't know.
Yeah. But what's interesting is how it shifts over into the final restaurant that we see, which is this very dark and foreboding kind of almost hellish environment. There's reds and there's black all over. And you can see that, you know, Aoyama, he's completely like, he's like awash in very warm colors and very bright reds and everything. But then you see Asami, And she's kind of seated in an area where there's just darkness. There's kind of almost a void there. And there's also that angular staircase behind her where people are going. It's very much in the shadows. It's where you're really starting to see that, this woman she's not good news. You know? It's like there's something more about her.
Yeah. I think you start to catch on to that. You know what's funny? I'm kind of seeing some parallels here with Imprint, because that's another very torture-heavy one. Arguably, I mean, that one I think is actually, this one's kind of tame compared to Imprint.
It's interesting that you bring up Imprint, because the screenplay of that was written by the original author of the original Audition novel. Ray Murakami or something like that. I think that's the name. And so there's a little parallel there. So yeah, I mean, it does kind of have that same motif and whatnot.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, in that diner scene and in the restaurant scenes, it's like, I think that really just encapsulates the entirety of the plot of the movie just visually, And it's a very interesting way to kind of move the story forward. Because, I mean, like I said, I mean, there is kind of a motif of eating. Like a lot of the things in the relationships that go on around here, it's usually revolved around, eating, around dining, I mean, it's how we really get to know Asami and Aoyama.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is interesting. That is kind of where the characters actually meet. And part of, what is probably reality. I mean, we don't really get into like the dream sequence stuff until the third act.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I mean, there's that moment there's that moment when they go on their vacation. They go on an outing, and that's where you really see the tone kind of shift in the movie.
Is that a love hotel?
I don't think it's a straight love motel. I think it's more of a beach house getaway or something like that. It's more of a resort, it feels like.
Because there was a comment, there's a worker that makes a comment that like, hey, your partner is leaving.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like, there's kind of that implication that it's like a couple thing.
It's definitely a couple's retreat or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, I mean, most of those love motels in Japan, they have a very specific,
right?
They have a very specific theme to them. It's like that one right there, that just almost felt like a bed and breakfast, practically.
You're right. Yeah, that was the only thing that seemed off to me, if that were the case. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's where we get the tone shift of the movie. That's where, Asami just becomes very quiet, very methodical. She takes her clothes off, beckons Aoyama to come over, tells him to keep his clothes on, and she shows him her scars, saying that she burned herself. But, I mean, that's when, and then that's after that, that's when Aoyama goes to, embrace her in bed, and then he just wakes up, and she's not there. And then, like you said, the worker, he's just like, your partner left. It's like, well, will you be checking out at the same time? And he's just like mystified. But what's interesting is that the tonal shift is shown visually again, because in the first part of the movie, you see a lot more still images. It's like the camera has a stillness to it, And the only other times that you really saw it move a whole lot was during the audition scene. Which we haven't even really gotten into the audition itself.
Right.
But it's like that first part of the movie, it's very still, it's very, almost picturesque. Then after that, you start seeing more shaky cam. The cam starts, becoming a little more distorted, a little more unstable. And that's when you really start to see the cracks start to form.
Yeah.
There. And especially in that one scene where Aoyama goes to his buddy who set up the audition, and he's just like, well, what, you're not going to help me find this woman? And he's just like, dude, forget this girl. She's bad news. Something is off here.
Ishikawa.
Ishikawa. Yeah. It's like, I mean, we can't find anything about this girl, It's like nothing she said in her resume fucking checked out.
You want to know something interesting that I actually noticed during the audition scene and afterward is that Aoyama and Asami Yamazaki actually share a kanji in their surnames.
Yeah.
Yama, which is mountain.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, and I think that actually is a carryover from the book. In the book, I think a lot of the characters, or at least like on the Wikipedia page, they're just credited as their last names, except for her.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, it seems like there was kind of that intentional connection from the beginning, I feel like.
So I wonder what the imagery of mountains would infer. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know, but
wonder.
it's interesting that it's in both of their names,
Interesting.
both of their surnames.
Maybe it just kind of shows how immovable they both are in their relationship, in a way, but also how kind of distant they are. Maybe.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know?
that's real interesting, right?
Yeah,
Because
because
Yoshikawa has the kanji for river. I know.
interesting.
Yeah,
That's some interesting thematic wordplay there.
I think so. Although, to be fair, Yama and Kawa are very common kanji in surnames. So,
But I don't know. It's interesting that you have the imagery of mountains and rivers there. You know, and
they're right next to each other in the audition scene. You can see their kanji for their names right next to each other on those nameplates. And I was kind of looking back and
that's
forth.
Very
at it.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe there's something going on there.
There might be. Yeah. I've see, that's the thing. I'm not as well versed in Japanese kanji as you are, so that would have gone over my head, more or less.
It's the things that I'm noticing, while watching this. And even just while listening to this and watching, because we watched this one subbed. A lot of Miike's films we've watched dubbed in the past. But this time we were watching it subbed, and I actually could pick up on a lot of what, the intricacies and of what they were saying.
Yeah.
To a degree. I mean, my Japanese is very rough, but it's a work in progress.
Well, what else did y'all see visually in this movie that, kind of piqued your interest? Robert?
Huh. For only seeing it once, really. I don't know. Wish we could be playing it right now, but
yeah, but we were having issues with
technical
the TV. Yeah, we're having
difficulties.
technical difficulties and everything. But honestly, like, let's go ahead and get into the audition itself. Like, I mean, what did you think of that scene, Robert?
Where he was trying to find
Yeah.
like the right girl. I don't know.
Huh.
We get a montage of a lot of different actresses, right?
Yeah.
Some of them crazier than others.
A little bit.
A little more
yeah.
off the wall. Some of them or some of them just like fucking just like, okay, business as usual,
Yeah, right.
and drop in their clothes, and it's like, hey, man. I respect the hustle of sex workers.
Hey, yeah, you gotta respect the hustle.
I
Gotta do
respect
it.
the hustle, right?
Yeah. But
Grind.
it's kind of interesting, Robert, that initially Ishikawa and Aoyama, they're filmmakers, right? They're film
Yeah.
producers. And that's how they get this audition going. Like, I mean, we've made some movies.
Couple
before.
films.
We made a couple of
Couple
films.
of shorts.
Like, I don't know. We never really had an audition process for anybody, but
Nah, it's
if
audition required, really.
if we did do an audition, Robert, how do you think we would go about it?
Well, there needs to be at least an Tommy and a Denny
Yeah, we got to get the roles down first.
and a Chris R.
But what would we be looking in an actor?
I don't know, but I have the casting couch.
Oh yeah, that's right. You do have the casting
What
couch.
would we be looking for?
Yeah, we
probably more method, right?
More method. I
That's
got
what
you.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
More realism, right?
Or you could just be like Tommy, just be like scream loud.
Scream
We need to
loud.
Scream.
Wind machine. We dub his voice.
But yeah, I mean, the audition itself, there's all kinds of interesting women there, but you could totally see Aoyama. He's just really fucking like anticipating Asami's arrival. You know,
Mhm.
she's
He's
literally
waiting.
the very last one for the day.
Or one of the last.
One of the
I
last auditions of the day.
Yeah, they mentioned there were going to be a few more, but she's near the end of the list, which actually makes sense because Yamazaki would actually be listed towards the end of a Japanese alphabet, I believe.
Yeah, that
if you were
makes
listing
sense.
in alphabetical order, and by the furigana, I guess. Yamazaki would be towards the end.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, Aoyama, he does a little. He kind of does like a little speech, I guess you could say, when Asami comes in, you know, or like some type of statement about, you know, her resume and everything, and it's just like he goes a little overboard there, doesn't he?
Yeah.
That's what he's already smitten.
He's
You can just
already,
tell.
and his friend
It's like-
notices, and it's like, hey man, like, I don't know, this level of interest is not healthy, and I get it. I get that level of interest. I've been there before, but I wouldn't employ any of these kinds of methods.
No, I mean,
But it's a very different subculture, I guess. You know, it's like we kind of have this scene in the bar where Aoyama and Yoshikawa are drinking, and they're talking about how, like, you know, like Japan is doomed. Why? Because, you know, women have agency, I guess.
yeah, right. I mean, yeah, they're commenting on these ladies that are having a good time, you know, just minding your own business, and they're just like, oh yeah, these fucking women.
I think what's going on here is that Aoyama is as much a victim of male gaze as anybody
of
else.
Patriarchy and the male gaze, exactly.
You know?
I mean, the fact that there's so many aspects of his character that is laudable, but you know, then just the fact that he agrees to go along with this and then gets this unhealthy fucking connection with Asami, it's like, and then there's just the age difference and everything. It's just like, I mean, it's like, what did you think was going to happen, dude?
Yeah.
My
exactly.
dude.
My brother in Christ.
My brother in Christ.
What did you think was going to happen? Yeah, no. And then, you know, shit hits the fan in the third act. And that's where the movie just, wow.
Well, it really starts to kind of go off the rails whenever
Right before that, right?
whenever he goes and looking for any information on Asami. You know, first he goes to her ballet school. And
Yep. And then we get like old man in wheelchair son.
Old man in wheelchair son, yeah, and of course he's a pervy old man in wheelchair who is incidentally the mob boss from Gozu, the one who likes to have
Right.
spoons up his ass.
Yep.
Robert, you didn't see Gozu with us, did you?
I
Oh,
don't think so.
He died with a spoon up his ass.
he
Damn.
died with a spoon, with a ladle up his ass.
And
I
the
might
biggest
add.
erection he'd ever had in his life.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's like, Robert, we need to get you over here more often. Damn it.
Damn. Well, I quit my job, so we're good now.
Oh, yay, Robert quit his job. Yay.
So are you telling me, Robert, that you are ready for an audition?
You ready for your audition, Robert?
I don't know. Ready for my close-up? I don't
Stay
know.
tuned for Collateral Media OnlyFans content.
Oh,
Coming
God.
soon.
What would we even put on there? I'm not doing any sexual favors for anybody. Nobody. All
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I mean, what would we even put on our OnlyFans?
We show our feet for $100.
Stupid.
We just have our feet in front of the camera while we're doing a podcast.
$20
yeah,
top.
just our nasty ass fucking feet. Just be like, yeah, this is our working man's feet, right?
$20
here.
a pop.
Yep, this is our working man's feet. $20 a photo.
I mean, we're talking cash here.
We're talking cash American.
Cold hard cash.
Cold hard cash American
bills, bro.
dollars.
Cold hard crisp $20 bills.
Oh man.
All right, so you want to know the exact moment where the film turns into horror, right?
Right.
Okay. It's the scene with the bag, right? It's when the bag moves.
Oh, that's that first real inclination that there's something messed up going on here. Like when that bag moves, it's just out of nowhere. It's actually a pretty masterfully done jump scare, honestly.
And it's foreboding up to that point. It's like, okay, she's sitting in front of the telephone just waiting for it to ring.
And then later on, you find out that there was the bar that she worked with was shut down because of a murder, and there were extra body parts found. Like, what was it? It was like, it was like 2 or 3 fingers, an ear, a tongue, and something else. I mean, I think that was it.
Yeah, I know she did have a thing about cutting feet off, but that didn't turn up.
Yeah, no, I mean, the feet turned up, but once you see what's in the bag, which, yeah, there's a dude in a bag, and he's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
He's very messed up.
Notice how all the victims have their feet cut off. And if if this is all a dream, then Aoyama has a weird thing about the feet getting cut off, and that's like his like weird manifestation of
is it like some weird Iro Guro fucking foot fetish thing, like,
or maybe it's kind of like loss of agency, not being able to move. That's probably what Miike was going for.
Yeah, I mean,
or Murakami.
I mean, that's a fetish somewhere, I would imagine. I'm not
Tarantino was
sure.
involved.
I don't want to even go look for it. So
yeah, and we're not going to talk about Guro now.
ooh, yeah.
But no, like, yeah, and so from that point, the movie, I think that's where the movie just finally goes like off the rails completely, is when the bag moves, right? It's like the first like jump scare, right? And then the movie just kind of just becomes completely different, and it's a straight up horror movie.
It goes into straight up horror.
It
Yeah,
goes
exactly.
into the gore. It goes into the torture. The torture's not, it's pretty tame by today's standards, I guess, but there's a lot of implied pain, and I think that's what kind of makes you grit your teeth. And
let me tell you, back then, this was before torture porn was a thing. I wouldn't call this a torture porn movie.
Yeah,
But it definitely inspired that genre a lot.
It's a precursor to like Saw,
I would Saw and Hostel.
Yeah.
Like Hostel really took a lot from this movie, honestly.
Oh man.
Yeah, especially with the whole rubber apron and the rubber gloves and everything.
Yeah, that's definitely Hostile.
And having like a cadre of different weapons to use to torture.
Yeah.
Kitty.
Yeah. And her choice of torture implements are very interesting, right? They're almost like kind of dainty and feminine in their way.
It's the steel wire.
The steel wire
needles
and acupuncture needles. Yeah, that's another thing. That's a traditionally Asian form of medicine, right there. Medicine, but
if I could write Donald Trump's name in a death note, I think this is the cause of death I'd go for.
Really, you would go for audition death,
or Alex Jones.
So
Tucker
so you would just write down is like dies like in Audition.
Yeah.
Wow, you think that would work? It's like, maybe they'll just have a heart attack because
if I could picture it, then it could work, right?
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Say dies in the manner that Aoyama is tortured in the 1999 Takashi Miike film Audition.
Wow. This is a very specific fucking thing that we're going down. It's a very specific road, Ash. What the fuck? But yeah, the torture scene itself, it's preceded by a dream sequence where we really see Aoyama just process, his relationship with Asami up to that point. And he's starting to realize that, maybe, just maybe, the entire relationship was just kind of built on a foundation of bullshit, and that, the fact that he didn't know who the fuck Asami was, and that he didn't even really learn that much about her, to me, like coming from a demisexual perspective, it's like that's alien to me, because it's just like you should want to really get to know the person that you're interested in like that, and it doesn't seem like he really goes that route, and that plays into all that stuff that was omitted from the dialogue that omitted from the dates. It starts to come back in this dream sequence,
right?
And you start to see that she was very much telling him that, hey, I've gone through some shit. It's like I'm still kind of in the middle of a cycle, a cycle of abuse, that she's perpetuating that cycle on the dude in the bag. That's what that's meant to reference, and that's why she's feeding him her puke, which, by the way, is real puke.
Yep.
She really did that. That's method acting, right, Robert?
Oh yeah,
Total method.
Some Brando.
I know, right? Brando would fucking puke in a bowl, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
He would fucking puke in a bowl.
Definitely would.
What about the Dean?
He would too.
The Dean would fucking puke in a bowl if he was in this movie.
I know they'd both fling it across the room.
But
like,
would they eat the puke? Like the dude in the back does?
probably fling it across the room like Tommy Wiseau.
Oh, right.
The puke he was eating wasn't the real puke, right?
I'm
No.
gonna say no, but probably yes.
It was pea. It was pea soup from The Exorcist.
Ugh, gross. I don't know. It just looked like really rancid soy milk or something. I don't know.
Baby shit.
Ugh,
Baby
Gross.
shit puke. Ugh.
gross. But yeah, that's in that dream sequence. We see the restaurant scenes come up again. That once again, going back to how I feel that those are the most significant parts of the movie. It's like, and then it starts bringing up all these other women in Aoyama's life. Starts bringing up the secretary that he slept with. Like,
Right.
this poor secretary. Like, oh man, this poor girl. She was so wanting him to just say anything to her about what happened.
Yeah, so she's saying that like she's gonna get
She's gonna get married.
which you kind of start to question the context here. You're like, okay, so like is there a thing going on here? And then later on in the film,
In
they
the dream
answer that.
In the dream sequence, it's like, yeah, no, he had an affair with this secretary, and very obviously just kind of threw her aside because she wasn't the standard of beauty for him.
Yep. Yeah. And like, that she's, like you said, there's a moment where it looks like she's expecting for him to say something, and he just kind of, he walks away.
Yeah, no, yeah, or that one last moment. It's like where she's going and saying, yeah, I'm leaving, and then he's like, okay,
Yeah.
and then there's just that little silence there. I feel so bad for that poor girl. It's like that once again, it shows that Aoyama is not fucking. His hands are not clean here.
Right.
I don't feel his hands are clean here. Like in the original episode we did on this, I was maybe a little more sympathetic to him, but not so much now. I'm just like, no, dude, you knew what you were doing. It's like you could have objected to this. It's like you could have just gone off with your secretary, and honestly, probably nobody would have really batted an eye at that point.
Objection! I'm sorry, I had to.
But yeah, in the dream sequence, we see his wife come back, and he introduces Asami, and then his wife is just like, "No, honey, no, darling, don't do this. Don't be with this woman. She's not right for you."
Yeah.
It's like, and that's like the ultimate manifestation of his guilt over all of this,
And then apparently, you're the one that basically had sold me the theory that, like, the point in the movie that you would think that seems to be presented as a false awakening is actually the dream, and the rest of what we thought was reality was a dream.
What it is that there's that moment during the dream sequence where he kind of awakes. You kind of that's the false awakening you're talking about, right?
Yeah, there's that's a false awakening, right? And we think that's a dream, but that's actually a real awakening. That's reality.
A real awakening. Yeah, that's reality. Yeah, exactly. That's the actual reality. He's just kind of sitting there and he's kind of being like, okay, is like, and she accepts his proposal and he's like, proposal?
Proposal? I didn't propose.
It's like, what the fuck did I propose?
What did I say?
So it shows that he was 100% being superficial in this entire relationship, you know?
And now he's just kind of like, that's weighing on him. That's what this dream is about, because he just promised to love this woman and only this woman.
And now he's contemplating that. He's contemplating like, oh, okay.
But as it turned out, you know, he took that extreme to his mind, in his world,
mind, yeah.
That wouldn't include, you know, his son or anybody else in his life.
So in a way, I mean, the torture scene is kind of both kind of a self-flagellation in his mind, but also kind of a way to shift the blame for all this onto Asami.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of what it is. It's him shifting the blame for his skeeviness onto Asami, because he's just like, holy shit, this fucking girl, she wants me to love her and only her. It's like, what does that actually mean? Like, it's the implications that he's going through, and that implication leads him to, oh my god, she's gonna fucking torture me. She's going to fucking kill me. It's like, especially when she finds out that I don't really want to go through with this, you know?
Right.
But then there's that final moment where after she confronts Shigehiko and is knocked down the stairs, she's looking at Aoyama. Aoyama is completely broken. He's broken, maimed, lost a foot.
Mm-hmm.
He's just in the lowest point, and then she just starts speaking dialogue from one of their dates. And that to me is, I think, the ultimate indictment of what I was saying earlier, that, you know, he's trying to shift this blame onto her.
Yeah.
You know, that final moment, that's like him trying to fucking make her kind of take responsibility for all of it.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. So I wonder how this kind of plays out following that dream, you know?
Very awkwardly.
Yeah.
But anyway, I honestly think that's probably a moment to go ahead and start wrapping things up and get to our final thoughts. Ash, we'll start with you. What are your final thoughts?
All right. So, yeah, like I mentioned before, I think out of all of the Miike films I've seen up to this point, I think I did enjoy this one the most. I mean, at least when it comes to, you know, his contribution to the disturbing side of cinema. And it's not that this is more disturbing or more graphic by any means than any of his other films or anything else, but I think just in terms of writing in this genre, I love the whole structure of the movie. I love the little details. I love the ambiguity. I think it just really kind of clicked for me, and it makes sense why this is one of the Miike films that gets brought up the most. So again, you know, thank you, Miike Sensei, for your contributions. Thank you to Murakami Sensei for the original work.
Yeah, definitely. Robert, what are your feelings and your thoughts on this movie? Like when you first saw it, and like, I mean, what are your final thoughts?
Actually, it wasn't a bad film at all. I mean, it makes me want to go back and watch the Hostel movies.
It does, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you could really see where Eli Roth took a lot of inspiration from movies like this.
Yeah, and it felt very David Lynchy to me, dude. Like Lost Highway or Mulholland Drive or something.
See, that's why we need to show you Gozu, dude, because Gozu is even more Lynchian. That's his most Lynchian work yet.
Holy
okay.
shit. Okay.
It might be between this and Gozu, actually, now that I think about it. Because you're right, Gozu was pretty fucking crazy.
Gozu is insane, dude. The final 10 minutes of the movie, Robert, you'll just be like, what?
What the fuck?
what the fuck just happened? But yes, definitely go back and listen to our Miike-versary episode on Gozu.
Wasn't it bad? I mean, right when she started torturing him and then cutting him up with the saw. I mean, the foot part felt a lot like Saul or.
Yeah, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Saul completely just lifted that right off of the final few minutes of Audition. I would not be surprised, because there was that whole conceit in the first Saw where they had go through their own
hacking
foot.
the damn leg off at the end of the movie, right? To see who lives.
Yeah. So yeah, but I mean, would you recommend this movie, Robert?
If you hadn't seen it, I'd recommend you at least watch it once.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But how disturbing do you think it is?
Pretty freaking disturbing.
Really? You really think it is?
A little bit.
I mean, you've been here for some of our more disturbing movies, like Riccio and Martyrs. And,
honestly, anything you show me is pretty disturbing.
Like Eraserhead and whatnot. Like, how do you think it stands up to those movies?
I think it fits right in there.
Oh, it's perfect, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fits right in there.
But yeah, my final thoughts is, first of all, I think that it's actually an interesting inversion of a love story, for one. Like, it's kind of an anti-love story. Like, you really think that it's going to maybe end happily for Aoyama, but it just doesn't. Reality just completely just caves in on him, and he just starts to realize, oh shit, I mean, what the fuck did I do? But I mean, he's still trying to be an asshole about it and shift the blame onto Asami. Like, that's my more modernized reading of this movie. I mean, y'all can compare that to y'all can go ahead and compare that to the pilot episode, where, like I said, I was maybe a little more sympathetic towards Aoyama, but not so much here. And I mean, I don't know. It's like, I don't know if what Asami does can be seen as empowering. I mean, I'm not a woman myself, so I can't really say that. But, I can kind of get how it's kind of a response to her cycles of abuse, I mean, it's her just kind of shifting her trauma onto Aoyama, And if you take the conceit that it's Aoyama's dream, once again, that's still part of, him just trying to shift all that bullshit onto Asami. He's like, she's the one that was insistent on, that was receptive to me. She was the one who was insistent on only loving her. She's like, that it's her. It's all her shit.
Yeah.
And then initially, like, she bails on him, and he's just like, what the fuck? But I think that this movie is also a masterwork of visual storytelling, especially during the date scenes and everything. And yeah, the torture scene is pretty much iconic. It's iconic and it's very influential. Kitty. So yeah, I mean, it's one of my favorite Takashi Miike movies of all time. There's a reason why it was the original pilot episode for this podcast. And honestly, I'm glad that we got to come back to it.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to doing Reduxes on some other of our earlier work.
Redux of The Room needs to happen. I think that's going to be our 100th episode, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Our actual numbered 100th episode. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have over 148 episodes on there, but that's not all the numbered Collateral Cinema episodes.
So episode 100, I should say.
But all right, Ash, what's going on with Collateral Gaming?
Well, this month we are doing the Ace Attorney trilogy. So we're actually going to be kind of pitching that as another collab with Collateral Cinema. And like I said before, we'll be doing part 2 of our Miike-versary special on the Takashi Miike Ace Attorney movie. Really excited to watch that because I fucking love this franchise. Can't wait to talk about the game series.
Hell yeah, that's going to be awesome.
Also, this month we're doing Need for Speed, which is going to be another collab because it's a video game movie.
Yeah, a video game movie and a car movie.
Oh, yeah.
Which was picked by Robert here.
Hell yeah.
So, Robert, we need to hang out and play some Need for Speed games, bro.
Some games.
Yeah.
I have the first 3 on my PlayStation Classic. So.
Original games, maybe some Hot Pursuit or
some Hot Pursuit. Yeah, definitely Hot Pursuit. Like that's really fun.
But yeah, stay tuned for that. I think we may be doing a bonus round episode this month on the Nintendo Direct, as well as talking about Metroid Prime Remastered, because I've been playing the shit out of that. And then, if possible, I would like to do an episode on the Dead Space remake, because my buddy Zach and co-host does have a PS5. I don't, but I can watch him play through SharePlay, and I feel like that for a game launch episode, that'll work. I would love to do Hogwarts Legacy, honestly, but I don't have a console, so.
I don't know. You sure you want to tread into that whole shit pile?
All right, so this is the official stance, okay, of Collateral Gaming. It is us making a personal decision where to draw the line in a system where ethical consumption does not exist to begin with.
So there's no ethical consumption under capitalism, essentially.
Right. So, the position of that is that this is us. This is where we're drawing our personal line. And I'm separating the art from the artist.
Well,
I know that there is some amount of royalties, but like I said, no
I
ethical
guess
consumption.
fair enough. Me personally, I wouldn't play it. I wouldn't play it personally. But then again, I don't really care about Harry Potter that much, and J.K. Rowling could go fuck herself. I mean, she can go fuck herself.
Don't get me wrong. I agree. She can go fuck herself. She needs to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, she really does. Because, you're alienating your fan base. But I'm just saying,
it's fair enough.
There are devs that worked on it. Despite,
that's a whole other thing. Like, it was a collaborative effort. That's what art is. And video games are art, and they are a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
I wish that they wouldn't crunch their developers so much, in the gaming industry. But
I wish that didn't happen in the gaming industry.
That's a whole nother issue right there.
But you can tell when it does, and it's bad. So yeah, that would like to do game recommendations as well, maybe, possibly. So we'll see.
And Robert, we're going to be filming the final scenes of Texas Sundown here very soon, right?
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Just working on writing the scripts.
Right on, dude. Hell yeah.
Just finishing up on some of the scenes. Yeah.
I can't wait to see them, man. I can't wait to see them. I can't wait to film them.
Hell yeah. Well, we'll go over all that too. Yeah.
Excellent. Hell yeah. So yeah, definitely look for that. Look for Texas Sundown coming very soon. Like maybe we'll cut a trailer for it or something. And yeah, look for all of the other cool stuff coming from Collateral Gaming and Collateral Cinema. So I guess with that, we can go ahead and get the fuck out of here. I'm Bo Maddox.
Robert Ortegon.
And I'm Ashley Chancellor.
And kitty, 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 kitty.
I want to fuck.
Laters, y'all. Collateral Cinema is a Collateral Media podcast. All music and movie clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.